You do not want to have a family of field mice living in your tiny house floor. That's not cool. Even though they probably would really like it, it's not appropriate, and we don't want that here at Midwest Tiny Living. Hey there, right now I'm underneath the trailer. So in the last video you saw me level it in, get it all leveled. And then the next step that I like to do is get the metal underneath the bottom side of the trailer. So you can see this is the rest of the trailer going on. This is my first piece, and I have a piece of sheet metal, and I work by myself here, so I have to kind of devise slick ways of holding material handling, and things like that when I'm all alone. And this is kind of, it's really awkward. It's an awkward thing to move around, so that's kind of tricky. But I have a box that's just a couple inches shorter than the size of the trailer, like the height. And then I have a board there, and then I've got this board that goes all the way over, and that's basically pushing that metal up against the bottom of the trailer. So then this is going to stay nice and smooth, and I can screw in the screws really easily under here. I can just keep moving that along, adding that metal to that bottom side of the trailer. See, so then when I do the floor, so then I'll put my 2x6s on top of this floor, and then I can spray foam that whole assembly. So that spray foam will go around this frame member of the trailer, and then it'll go up and through the frame of the floor, the subfloor of the tiny house. So all of this actually gets glued basically all as one unit. So that's all just one unit. So I'll just keep doing this along the whole length of the trailer all the way through with just some sheet steel. I know some places, I've seen some DIYers or some places will put the metal over the top of this, which is probably just fine. I mean, they'll go over the top of this and build their floor on top of that. But I like to make sure that my floor and my subfloor, the floor of the trailer and the subfloor of the tiny house are all one unit then. So that's never going to separate. It's never going to go anywhere. So that's what I do on this step. This is kind of step number 2. So I leveled the trailer off, and now I'm just going through and installing all of the metal work on the underside. All right, so if you can see this too, I've got a lot of these in. I'm not completely done. Most of them are in. I just have 2 left on the back, so this last one I'll have to get this one in there and then cut this one down just a little bit because of the length of the trailer and how the 4-foot sheets work. When I went over, I don't know if you can see this very well, when I went over this section over the wheel wells, my box didn't work like I showed you that box earlier, but I used the axles and propped that up so then this would stay nice and flat under here, because I want this to be nice and flat, otherwise it'll have bubbles and wrinkles and waves. But it's turning out pretty good. I like the way that that's turning out. You can see pretty smooth. And then as I'm going with this whole process, I'm spray foaming these in. So when I do the subfloor on the top of this, I'm gonna spray foam all of this stuff all together, and you can kind of get a better idea now of how that's gonna be. And what I did was I sealed up these edges. So when I custom cut these to fit in here, there's a gap between the trailer frame and this metal. So I just spray foam that real quick. I just spray foamed it in. So then when the guys come with their big spray, I mean, this is a big gun. I mean, they're shooting, I don't even know how many pounds of pressure it's coming out. It's coming out fast to fill in these cavities. And that'll just shoot right through there and then end up on the bottom side of the trailer or dripping all over the floor. And it just won't be as clean. Where this stuff is a little bit more manageable, you can kind of spray it in there with a nice clean line, and it doesn't expand quite as much as the big stuff does, and it doesn't blow all over, so I can seal this up just a little bit. So every time that, so here's a sheet, this is a 4-foot sheet here, and then it's space, and then this is where the sheets overlap. So I did the overlaps of the 2 sheets just in case if that's going to spray down and shoot underneath in between those sheets, and then I did the edges and just kind of kept it all sealed up. So just have a couple more to go, and this part of the project is going to be done. We are underneath again, and you can see I've got this box with well, it's hard to see right now, but there's the box with the extra stuff up underneath it to hold that part up. And then as I've been doing this, I've been finding that this little car jack with a board to hold up this end has been really good too. So I've got that set up. And then underneath here, you probably won't be able to see it, but it's because it's pretty dark. But I've got some marked out. I've got where these brackets are marked out. So each of these cross members are 16 inches apart. So I've marked that out here as well. So you can see, you can't really see it, but there's a mark right here. So then I can just screw it in. And I'm screwing this in to the trailer with, maybe you can see this. It's a self-tapping screw. Just got a little 3/8 head on it. Self-tapper. Put it into the old drill, and then that'll screw right up in there. So that's how I'm doing it. It takes a little bit. I use safety glasses because I'm up underneath, and then as the self-tapper is drilling into that, it actually drills a hole, and it screws itself in there, so it's all in one. But as you're doing that, it's actually kicking out shavings, and they're hot, and they get caught on you, and I don't want one in my eye. It's not so bad on my face, but I don't want really one in my eye. We'll just keep rocking and rolling like that. I can't show you how it is, like how to screw it up in there, because I only have one hand for the camera, and I can't do it all at the same time. It takes a lot of pressure to go through this steel to get that all hooked up in there. So I wish that I could show you that, but I can't, so that's fine. You just have to figure it out on your own. You have to put a lot of pressure on that. You have to push it up, put your shoulder, put it on your shoulder, maybe even put it on your stomach and kind of push up, because you're going to want a lot of pressure to push that up into that steel. And it takes time, and you just got to keep spinning and spinning and spinning, and it's going to do it eventually, but that's the process as far as getting that all set up. Maybe it's over, but it takes a little bit to get that panel all square in there. But I found that you can see it here. This is a good picture. See how droopy that is? The way it is? See how there's a big droop in it right there? And if I were to let that go, it would manifest itself in really a lot of droops underneath there, and it just wouldn't be very good. Going down the road, it would be wavy and cause a lot of noises. So that's why I support this up there the whole time as I'm going along, so then it's a nice flat surface all the way across. Another thing I want to say as I'm doing this, or how I'm doing this, is I'm screwing this in from one side to the other, so it's going along. So I'm keeping that pressure all the way on one side, and it keeps going and keeps going across to the other. So I'm making sure that every single one of these is screwed off as I'm going across. So I'm just moving, so this set of screws, this set of screws, this set of screws, and I'm keeping the loose material pushing towards one side. If I were to do a screw over here and then go into the middle, there would be some flex in the center here, and that's not what we want. We want this to be nice and smooth all the way across there, flat up against the bottom of this cross member. So I put a screw in on the end, and then I keep working that across. And you could do it the other way. You could do it all the way across there and then come this way. But I really found that starting on this side across these 3 or 4, or however you're going to do it, however your trailer sits, doing it across this way and then going this way, working that material that way, keeps it flatter and keeps it a little bit better, and it just turns out nicer with less problems. So I would definitely suggest that to you if you're going to do this part. If you're going to do it with the rolled metal, it's a little bit different. I mean, you start at the front, you roll it all the way back, and you screw it down to the top, or glue it, or whatever you're going to do, however that works, that method works. But I like this one because of the way that I'm going to insulate this, because of the way that this is all going to be when I get the insulation in the floor. So it's kind of a purpose the way that I do it this way, and it looks a little bit nicer, and it's a little bit cleaner, and it protects that bottom for a long, long time. It's going to prevent rodents from coming up in there, or any kind of unwanted animals and things. This metal is going to keep them out for the most part. I mean, if somebody wants to get in, it's going to do it, and that's the way it is. But this definitely prevents the ease of access, which is undesirable for your tiny house. You do not want to have a family of field mice living in your tiny house floor. That's not cool. Even though they probably would really like it, it's not appropriate, and we don't want that here at Midwest Tiny Living. So that's my thoughts on that. And there's the finished product. We got it all laid out on there. So this 28-foot tiny house floor is ready to rock and roll. We got it all All the edges and all the seams are all spray foamed, so we don't get any extra blow by through there. And that's it, all the way done, all the way through. Looks pretty awesome. I'm excited to start the next step. Sounds like probably get our lumber for this guy maybe today or tomorrow. Probably, I guess it'll probably be tomorrow by the time we really get it. So then we'll start framing the floor on this guy. There's the underside. There's a couple of ripples in there. Not bad though. We did it pretty well. I gotta get that board out of there. There's still a board holding it up in there, but I gotta grab that off. But yeah, pretty sweet. I think that's it. Until next time, I'm Ryan, Midwest Tiny Living. Keep watching. Oh, hey, by the way, if you do like this, if you find any reason that you like it or you want to see more of it, see more videos, definitely hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and ask me questions. Ask about what you need to know as I'm building one. I do have a finished tiny house. That's the model tiny house over there. That's the 24-footer. So if you have any questions, I can go over to that one too and find out or point at answers. There's the answer, or whatever. So let me know. I think that's it. I'm going to wrap this thing up.